What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So, we have returned with Supergirl yet again. Oh, season 3 is up. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how they managed to get a season 3. Obviously, with all of the CW shows, the DC CW shows being renewed, I guess it did make sense to sort of progress her along, but honestly, she's kind of the story that you could move out of the way because she's not even on the same Earth as everybody else. As the Legends and Arrow and the Flash, she's kind of in her own separate universe. So, yeah, I feel like you could sort of move her aside and nobody would really be that bothered by it. But whatever the case, they brought her back for season 3. If you don't know already, not a big fan of this show, not a big fan of season 2 in general, just because mainly they focused more on side characters and relationships more than they did what the title of the show promises us, which is Supergirl. The fighting, the trying to stop the bad guys always sort of came second nature. So we kick off this first season with the first 2 episodes. Like I said before, I'm going to be doing a multi-episode review just because I've got to get caught up and my internet's too slow to upload one episode review at a time. So these are going to be sort of packed together. So I'm going to do my best to try to separate the 2 episodes and not get them mixed together. But the first one is The Girl of Steel. We pick up, I guess, a few months probably after the end of season 2. Mon-El, gone off of the Earth, and Supergirl sort of dealing with that. She's stopping people, she's stopping bad guys, pretty much just trying to stay focused on being Supergirl so she doesn't have to think about her personal life. Which is actually kind of what I wish they would have done with season 2, but instead that's how we're kicking off season 3. But we start off with kind of an intense car chase where she's stopping the people who are trying to rob a truck. One guy happens to get away from it, but she manages to stop everybody else before we see, she saves a family and doesn't say anything to him. Before we saw her, it was like every single time she saves somebody, she's like, "Hey, how you guys doing? Are you doing okay?" Pretty much how we expect a very lighthearted show called Supergirl to be. But now she's in a bit of a darker place, and so she's not as willing to just say hey to everybody. She's just like, "I saved you, goodbye." So it is kind of, I guess, a more realistic take on what happened. Because nobody would just shake that off. Nobody's just going to be like, "Oh yeah, this guy that I fell in love with, even if it was a very quick romance, he's gone now." It would make sense that she's torn up by it. She's not taking it well. She's heartbroken. So I do like that they're doing that. I do like that they're taking it a very realistic route. However, it does sort of take away from the cheeriness of the show. That is one of the things that has stuck out about the show, and something that honestly, even though I don't enjoy this show overall, there are aspects of it that are very good. And one of the things that they were very good about is keeping the identity of the show, which is we're very lighthearted. We are a lighthearted show. We're all cheery, we're all smiles here, everything's hunky-dory. It did get annoying at times, but they kept their identity very well. Now they started to lose that, and so where Supergirl is now very dark and depressed, and oh, I've lost the person I loved, and nobody that I love, nothing ever works out, all that stuff. They've started trying to make it to where now Maggie is going to be the lighthearted part of it. Maggie, Alex, their whole thing has started to become the lighthearted part of it. And it just gets annoying. I'm sorry, I cannot stand Alex and Maggie. Because not only did their whole story just completely take up half of season 2, which I don't care about the side characters, but they're so in your face about it. And I can't stand whenever something is so in your face about anything. But they're just so, "Oh, we're gay. We're happy because we're gay." And I'm just like, stop. Okay? You're not treating this very realistically. You would not, first of all, you two would not be working together as much as you are. It is so clear to me that this show has just said, "You know what? Screw the rules, screw the laws, we're just going to have them together all the time." Oh, it's a police car chase? Yeah, they're going to be together on that. oh, we're in the DEO. Oh yeah, Maggie's allowed in. They did that throughout the entirety of season 2, and they just keep doing it. She's just allowed in. Oh yeah, you're a police officer, have no connection to the government whatsoever. Come on into this secret, supposed to be undercover, high tech, I don't know, science center where we're trying to stop supernatural, extraterrestrial stuff from going on. And it's just like, she's just a police officer. Just because she happens to be dating one of your workers, you're gonna let her come in? I mean, that's stupid. What happened to the DEO that was like, oh no, we're undercover? You know, we don't want anybody to know about us. Now they're just like, yeah, everybody can know about us. Oh, you're allowed in, come on in. And they wonder why whenever, you know, the Daxamites attacked at the end of last season, they wonder why they were able to get in so easily. Maybe it's because you should be a bit more undercover and secret. But yeah, so they're so forcing Alex and Maggie upon us, and it's really getting annoying to the point where it's taking up chunks of the plot and it's forcing itself into scenes where it shouldn't be. You know, they're trying to stop this guy who has a cloaking device on a ship, and they know he can attack without warning, you know, because his ship is cloaked. And so they're just like, all right, we need to keep an eye out. We need to make sure. And then all of a sudden, Maggie's just like, Alex, do you want to marry me? I'm like, somebody is about to attack you. There is somebody about to attack. And you think now is the best time to talk about this? Like, the only way this would be acceptable is if this were foreshadowing that, are you sure you don't want to marry me? Look, can we just talk about this later? And then she dies. That would be the only way it would work because, oh no, that was the last chance they had to talk. But you know they're not going to do that. You know they're not going to kill off their token gay couple because then, oh, the liberals would be mad. We need to make sure they're happy. And it's so annoying because it's forcing itself into these situations. Nobody in their right mind would be so distracted by this. First of all, Maggie should not be a part of the DEO operation in the first place because she's just a regular police officer. So the fact that she's even on the comms with other DEO agents is just stupid. On top of that, you would not talk about this in this situation. You don't see cops on a stakeout talking about relationship stuff. You don't see that because they're focused. They make sure that they're watching. It's even if it's a stakeout, it's like a 6-hour, 7-hour stakeout. You're right in the mix. You're right in the middle of an intense situation where anything can go wrong at any given time, and you're just gonna, hey, are you sure you want to marry me? Are you sure? Oh look, it's just about my dad. I wanted him to be there to walk me down the aisle. Shut up and get to work. And it gets even worse because we see, you know, they managed to get an attack off and nobody knows where it's coming from. It's like, I didn't see a missile. They shouldn't be able to cloak the missiles. What's going on? Supergirl realizes, oh, they're underwater. It's a submarine that's being cloaked. And so she goes into the water to stop the submarine. Stupid line, first of all. Alex goes, she can't breathe underwater. I thought she was Aquawoman for a second. My bad. She's Supergirl. You're right. She can't breathe underwater. Holy cow. Thanks for that just enlightening information, Alex. But then on top of that, as Supergirl is going and flying to the submarine underwater to go stop the missiles from taking off, what are Alex and Maggie doing? They're watching. They're just standing on the sidelines watching. And it takes me back to the end of last season where Supergirl and Superman were fighting because Superman was having his mind taken over by the white kryptonite or whatever. And they're just standing on the side like, just watching, not doing anything. And here's the thing. In that scene, you can kind of excuse it a little bit because it's like, well, we don't really want to hurt Superman, so what are we supposed to do? We don't have our weapons on us. What are we supposed to do in this situation? Okay, I can kind of see that. You know, it would be difficult to know what to do in that situation. This is obvious. People are running around scared out of their minds. You're supposed to be the ones in charge of, okay, everybody, let's evacuate. Let's keep a calm head. Hey, let's go. You know, let's move this way. Keep away from the debris. Oh, somebody has debris falling on them? Well, let's try to help get them off. But no, they're just standing there like, oh no, what's she gonna do next? We can't even see underwater right now, so I don't know exactly what we're looking at, but what's gonna happen next? And so this leads to a scene where I guess we're introducing the I don't know. Is she supposed to be the main villain of this season or not? I can't tell. But there's this woman. She and her daughter are running around. Her daughter runs into Alex, and she brings her back. She's like, "Hey, apologize to her." So of course she's going to be important somehow. But one of the, I don't know, one of the towers, I guess, falls on her daughter, and so her daughter's trapped. She's trying to get her out, and in this scene, I'm thinking, Alex and Maggie should be helping. Somebody should be helping them right now, but they're so distracted by what's going out underwater, what's going on underwater right now, that you can't help because you're distracted, because you're all idiots. So anyway, the mom is like trying, like, I got you, and trying to lift it up, and then eventually, like, she crushes the tower and lifts it up with her strength and saves her daughter. And so that's kind of becoming a story now where she's just like, oh, do I have super strength, do I not? And that carries on more in the second episode. But pretty much the first episode ends in just, I don't know, like, it ends in such a way where you kind of feel like, oh, well, maybe Supergirl's getting better, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like she didn't have to overcome any sort of, like, mental barriers. There's, I don't know. Most of the time, whenever we end one of these episodes, I feel like I can say, all right, so this was the point of the episode. This was what it was building to. But ultimately, at the end, Kara seems like she's better, but she never really had to overcome anything. She never had to overcome a mental, oh no, I gotta go underwater. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with Mon-El? What does that have to do with losing him or losing her mom? What does that have to do with anything? It doesn't. It's just she overcame the day, and then all of a sudden she's better for some reason. It never explained how. So aside from that, a couple other, I guess, tidbits in the first episode before we move on to the second. We see Lena is much more involved in this episode, mainly because Glenn Talbot from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on the show now, which I am kind of excited about because he plays a pretty douchey asshole most of the time. So I could see him being a very good, I guess, human villain on this season. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with his character, but basically he's planning on buying out Catco. I think, I can't remember if Lena stepped in and bought at the end of this. I'm pretty sure she did at the end of the first episode. And so they're kind of setting up maybe a little bit of a, I guess, rivalry there. We see Supergirl realizes that he's the one responsible for the attack on the harbor where her statue is being unveiled. So she leaves him on like an ocean liner out in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know when he's going to return, but I assume he's coming back, and at some point he's going to be an antagonist. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to that because I do love this actor. I think he's a very good choice to play a bad guy on any show. So I'll be interested to see what's going on there, but that's pretty much all for the first episode. So going into the second one, Triggers, we see that Kara is still sort of dealing with some of the heartbreak of losing Mon-El, but she's getting into a little bit more normalcy. I don't know, for some reason Alex and Maggie are also involved in their daily morning routine. I'm like, I don't see the parallel. And then to make the parallel even more confusing, they show the mom who saved her daughter at the end of last episode waking her daughter up, and just like, where's the parallel here? You've got Alex and Maggie who are waking up after, I don't know, maybe a nighttime where they enjoyed each other. Then you've got the mom and the daughter waking up, and then you've got Kara waking up and like cleaning. Where's the parallel here? Like, most of the time you can see, all right, so we're seeing their daily morning routine, her daily morning routine. But in this case, none of these characters really connect. Alex and Maggie are in the middle of a relationship. They're engaged. Okay, Kara is kind of recovering from her heartbreak. Okay, and then this mom and daughter don't really know much about him. So what's the point? But ultimately, it's a poor start. But the episode does pick up pretty well because we get introduced to this villain. Her name is Sai. She's some sort of psychic. Apparently she's a metahuman, which I really wasn't aware that they had metahumans on this Earth, but I don't know. I'll be interested to see, I guess, what they're going to do with metahumans or how metahumans were even created in the first place, because there's no reactor that blew up on this Earth. But we see that she apparently can tap into people's fears. And so when Supergirl goes to stop her during a bank robbery, we see she like affects Supergirl's mind. She feels like the walls are closing in on her. And ultimately this does lead to some very intense imagery and some very good scenes as well. Next time she goes to stop her, all of a sudden, like, you see the backgrounds change around them, and all of a sudden they're in the Krypton, I don't know, launch station, I guess, where Kara's pod took off from. And so we see her taking off, and we get to, like, experience it from her point of view. We get to experience being in the pod, the silence of it all, just being in space, in the middle of nowhere. It's a very well done scene. It's one of the few things that this show has done very, very well, and it's just made me feel like, yes, this is a show. This isn't just some fan fiction that people put together. This is an actual show that show writers are working on. So it's the first time that I've really felt this way about this show, to be honest. But that scene ultimately is the one good thing about this episode, because the rest of it is just, it's kind of dumb. The whole thing with Sai, interesting enough, but you've got Alex and Maggie still just forcing their story upon this. Kara's flying into the DEO because she gets some sort of signal saying that she's needed, and they're talking about, oh, DJ or band at her wedding. Please, John, please just kick Maggie out and be like, look, you're not welcome back here if you're just going to talk about stupid stuff. This is an actual workspace. This is not a space for you guys to just talk about whatever the hell you want. But then John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, joins in on the conversation. I was so hoping. I was hoping for a glimmer of hope on the show. That just something for me to hold on to and say, okay, we've got one good character still left. As a boss, as a guy who's in charge, he should have stepped in and said, what are you two doing? This is a place of work. We're trying to get jobs done here. We're trying to keep this world safe. And you two are here goofing around talking about DJ or band at your wedding. Seriously? You can do this at home. Get out of here, Maggie. You're not allowed back in. You're a police officer. Go do your job. Let us do our job. But instead, he's just like, well, the human brain is an interesting thing. So whenever you hear something, if it doesn't sound like what you've heard on the radio, it's less likely that you're going to get jiggy with it. I'm like, not only did you join on the conversation, not only are you not doing your job as the boss, but you made John Johns, Martian Manhunter, say the phrase, get jiggy with it. You're dead to me. You are dead to me, show. That lost me. All the stuff with Sai, I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I could not get that scene out of my brain the entire time. I'm like, yeah, that was cool, but that was stupid. That ruined this entire episode from the very beginning. You can't recover from that. You can't recover from Martian Manhunter saying getting jiggy with it. You can't. You're done. You're done to me. So I'm on the second episode and I'm already practically done. But it gets worse because obviously we've got that going on. Then we get into the size stuff and it gets more interesting. But then you go back to the mom and her daughter. The mom that was able to save her daughter with superhuman strength. You get to that story. And it feels like it should be interesting, but it's not. Because here's the thing. She's got some mystery job that I assumed was going to be working for somebody that we know, because why else would she be talking about this secretive job? And we find out later she's apparently taken over for Lena Luthor at L Corp, because Lena's going to apparently be at the Catco all the time. I don't know, maybe they weren't able to use the L Corp set anymore, so they're just like, all right, we're getting rid of that. She's just going to be at Catco from now on. But yeah, so she's apparently got a job offer there, and so she's going to the job offer, finds out her daughter got into a fight at school, so she's got to go get her daughter, finds out that apparently her daughter's going around saying, hey, my mom has superpowers, and the girls don't believe her, and so that's why her daughter got into a fight. They're just like, what is wrong with your daughter? What is wrong with her? First of all, even if your mom did have superpowers, why would you just go around saying, hey, my mom has superpowers, hey, my mom has superpowers, hey, my mom... People aren't going to believe you. And it's not like her daughter's not old enough to know. She looks like she's probably a freshman in high school. She's old enough to know people aren't going to believe you. And on top of that, why would you tell anybody about it in the first place? If your mom wants to keep it a secret, you should probably keep it a secret. You know, people know this. People know that if you had superpowers, you would keep them secret because who knows what would happen to you. But her daughter's just going around telling everybody about it, telling everybody. And then we get to the final scene where Supergirl's fighting Sai, and Sai has the guy on the bulldozer or the wrecker, like freaking out because of snakes, and so he's like swinging it everywhere. And we see, by some coincidence, this woman's daughter has gone out to a pizza place, even though her mom ordered pizza. For some reason, I don't know why, and because of that, she happens to be right in the same area where Sai is attacking, and so the wrecker's swinging around, and she texts her mom and says, "Come save me." Why did you leave home? How did you get out of the house? Because you can't drive. Why did you go to this specific restaurant? How did you know there was about to be an attack here? And on top of all of this, the dumbest question of all, why on earth would you just walk into danger and say, "Hey, Mom, come save me"? Do you not want to live? Like, don't get me wrong. If somebody I knew had superpowers, that would be cool. Yeah, I would completely understand if you like, I want to see these superpowers in action. Yeah, you don't put your life in danger because of it, though. Especially when the other person is saying, "I don't have superpowers, I don't have superpowers." There's a high chance that they're not going to want to try to use them. And so you put yourself in danger. "Hey, come save me." And they could just be like, "I told you I don't have superpowers," and now you're dead. Congratulations. So, yeah, this little girl's pissing me off. The mom is just kind of a mystery right now, so I don't know what they're going to do with her. But there's just so many problems with this show. You know, it could get better. It still could get better. Maybe if the show writers start to... No, you know what? I've got to stop. I've really got to stop because it's not getting better. It had an entire season where I just kept thinking, okay, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. And it's not. It's still the same old crappy show. It's still got the same problems. Still got the same lame, lines, the same bad dialogue, the same bad characters. I mean, nothing's improving. Things are getting worse. And on top of all of this, the same cheery Supergirl that I think has been probably the heart of the show, now she's all depressed and doesn't, is all like, "I'm angry now. I'm upset. I don't want anybody to talk to me and get out of my life forever," and all that stuff. I mean, it's just not the same show anymore. There's nothing to cling to. So, I really don't know what to expect, but there's just way too many problems for this show to be anywhere close to good. So, that's about it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 2 episodes? Do you think this season will get better, or do you think it's just going to be the same as last? Let me know. We can talk about it, discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Supergirl reviews. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.